The Avatar after Korra. Talk about it. Let me hear it.
The Legend of Genji just wrapped up the first
Genji?
5 parts, and with no confirmed return in sight, I figured I'd bring you all 5 parts in one video. Welcome to The Legend of Genji full story. So far. The Legend of Genji begins in the modern era of Brisensei. Immediately, we get introduced to the false avatar Luan. For those of you who don't know, in The Legend of Genji, there is a guy who everybody believes is the avatar, but the real avatar is actually Genji. Someone completely different. We can already see in a modern timeline that the avatar is more of a celebrity. Cameras are pointed at them, the media is asking them questions, and his whole return to Brisensei is being live streamed on TV. I love this shot right here. As the TV is being turned off, it's Genji in Luan's place. The real avatar in place of the fake avatar. Genji is the complete opposite of Luan. He's not rich, he's not living in Brisensei, he's working in a small auto shop in Jinsha. Genji is the real avatar, but he clearly doesn't know it yet. He tells the man working with him that the avatar doesn't know what it's like to have a hard life. He doesn't know what it's like to be him, and Luan wouldn't last a day here. No matter how much Genji denies it, he dreams of getting out of the shop. He wants a bigger life, he wants to do what Luan's doing. The fake avatar Luan is now meeting with the president of the Earth Kingdom. Luan tells the president that he's ready for his earthbending exam, and he's excited to finally learn some firebending. Now the president shoots down that idea real fast, and tells him not to get too far ahead of himself. He tells Luan that they can discuss firebending training after he aces the exam. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. My theory is that they're going to keep his exam scores just low enough so that he can never move on to firebending. I think this guy and most of the government officials know that Luan is not the real avatar, and they found this fake avatar to just keep the world in check because they think the avatar cycle ended with Korra after she broke the connections to her past lives. We get informed that there's going to be a very important party where there's going to be a treaty signed between the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation, and Luan needs to prepare a speech. We finally get back to Jinsha to see Genji and his sister walking home from school. Genji's sister is very upset with him because he was late picking her up from school, so to cheer her up, he starts to sandbend her in the air, throwing her around, and really just showing he has great sand manipulation with what I'm assuming to be no formal training at all. When they finish, there's a bunch of people looking at them weird. These people are upset that Genji was sandbending. There's clearly some going on here. I can't say that word or else I'm demonetized, but you guys know what I mean. Genji and his sister are back home and they're watching pro bending. One thing I didn't notice the first time reading this through in my original reviews is that it looks like there is now sand added into pro bending. Genji's mom gets home and he pulls her aside to tell her they have a notice, but before he hands it to her, some news pops up on the TV all about the riots in Omashu, and because of the riots in Omashu, the government has now issued a region-wide curfew, and it begins at sundown. This means Genji's mom can no longer go to work, and Genji doesn't make enough money to pay things himself, and on top of all of that, they have an eviction notice for their rent being late. Part 3 starts off at the Varick Hotel in Brisensei. We get introduced to Aiko, who is the daughter of the Fire Nation ambassador, attending Luan's party. Aiko and her mom are going to be representing the Fire Nation royal family at the party. They're going to be announcing a treaty between the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation. Aiko's mom isn't happy with the way she's dressed, so she gives her some money and heads off. On the next page, we're at Air Temple Island and we meet adult Rohan, who is welcoming Nami to Air Temple Island. Now, Nami is here on Air Temple Island to train with Jinora to master her spirit bending abilities. We get introduced to 2 new airbenders named Kalsang and Song Tai. They're showing Nami around the Air Temple, and we are already getting glimpses of Nami's abilities. She is seeing spirits everywhere, but has no idea that no one else can see them but her. But she quickly finds out that she is the only one that can see them. We found out in part 2 that Genji needed money, and unfortunately, this is the only way that he can make extra money. And Genji is fighting in the underground fighting rings in order to try to make ends meet. Right off the bat, Genji is struggling in this fight. He gets slammed against the wall, he dodges another upcoming attack, he gets grabbed by the foot and thrown. He barely lands on his feet. The fight resets and they're both standing upright. The guy kind of throws like a switch stance right hand at Genji's stomach, and Genji is down and out. Genji gets beat up, he gets injured, and on top of all of that, he gets no money for any of this. It is winner takes all. This guy right here, his name is Malik. and he sees Genji is going through a hard time and offers him a job. At first, Genji wants nothing to do with him because he knows this guy is up to no good, but the deal turns out to be too lucrative and Genji accepts. Given the current situation that Genji's in, he has to accept. He knows this guy is up to no good, but he needs the money and he needs to support his family. The job he has to do is a delivery job. Genji has to deliver these suitcases. Usually this wouldn't be too big of an issue, but since there is now a region-wide curfew, there are guards everywhere. He finally makes his way to the clients, he gives them the suitcase, they give him the money, and he goes to walk away. However, Genji can't help himself but to look at what they receive. But these guys don't like that Genji saw, because this is clearly some type of illegal technology, and when Genji looks at them, they attack him. The party that was mentioned a few parts back is finally happening. Aiko shows up late, and her mother is not happy with the outfit of choice for whatever reason. I think it looks fine to me, but Luan and Aiko end up taking a few photos. I guess this is kind of symbolic of peace between nations. I don't know. We get back to see what's happening to Genji. The people receiving the suitcase unmask him and discover that he's just a kid, so they decide to go easy on him and let him go. Genji sneaks back home and his mother catches him. She ends up asking him where he's been all night. They get into a big fight about this. Genji's like, lay off me, I'm fine, nothing happened. And his mother reminds him that it's dangerous to be out after curfew and says, let's not forget that being a sandbender is enough.
Golly. Okay. Damn, already part 5. God damn. Eh?
Of an excuse to lock you up for life. Genji is just a teenager and he really doesn't understand that his mother just wants him to be safe, so he's gonna fight her on this one. In his mind, he thinks he's doing what's right, and in his mother's mind, she thinks her kid is just risking his life for no reason. They get into an argument and Genji brings up the fact that his mother is gone all of the time. Just like all fights, when things get heated, the truth comes out and you complain about things of the past. That's just how life is. And his mother brings up that that's not fair, and Genji tells her that life isn't fair. As they're yelling at each other, a giant explosion goes off behind them. They look out the window to see what's going on, and another explosion goes off, and this time their house is damaged and falling apart. Genji and his family just cannot catch a break here. That is where part 5 ends. Again, there is no set release date for the continuation of The Legend of Genji, so this is the full story so far.
Yeah, nah, that shit better return, cause what?